Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger, and up next on the GM, biggest matchups in the NFL for week number 4. Do me a quick favor as we get started. Hit like if it is your first time checking out the GM. Hit subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk about it. So week number 4 is underway, and we turn our attention to Sunday's slate of games. There's 3 games I picked out that I think are going to be super interesting and may have a direct impact on the Baltimore Ravens throughout this season. So let's start with the Houston Texans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. If I remember correctly, this game is going to be held in Houston. So will Houston have a little bit of a home field advantage? I don't know. I don't know if Houston has a home field advantage. That's another story for another day. But I think this matchup can be super interesting because I think Houston is going to be better than most people expected. Okay. I think CJ Stroud is better than most people expected. I think a lot of people expected CJ Stroud to be good, but I don't think they expected him to be good this fast. Okay. Houston has gotten better every single week. Week 1 against the Ravens, they looked okay. Week 2, they got better. And week 3, they got their first win. And I think they're riding high. CJ Stroud has proven that he is the real deal. He has proven that he can make plays with his legs, but he is dangerous with his arm. He is a top 5 passer in this league, which really shows that the Carolina Panthers missed on that first overall pick. That's another story for another day as well. But I think that they have a chance against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Houston has a lot of no-name wide receivers, a lot of wide receivers that don't have any real standing in the NFL at this point. But they played hard, they've been consistent, and they're getting better. The Houston defense is playing better than one may have expected. I think they've certainly taken on the mentality of their head coach, DeMeco Ryan, and they come out every week and they give themselves a chance to win. When we jump to the Pittsburgh Steelers side of the thing, um, Pittsburgh is still trying to find themselves offensively, but I think they've been playing downhill defensively. Let's start with the offense. Pittsburgh offense hasn't been dominant in the run game, nor have they been dominant in the pass game. I think they've been somewhat improving, but it's been the defense that has kept this team afloat and has really kind of put 2 of the last 3 games away for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, I don't expect Kenny Pickett to really get things going this week. I think that Pittsburgh will still have a struggle. I think that they will not be dominant in the run game. I don't think they'll be dominant in the pass game. But I do believe that they'll do just enough to pull this game out against Houston. Houston will be feisty. Houston will not get blown out, and Houston will compete into the fourth quarter. But I think because TJ Watt is such a force defensively, and Nika Fitzpatrick is dynamic with range and his ball hawking skills, I think the defense again will put this game away. I think Pittsburgh wins this game 20-13, 20-17, something like that. But don't be surprised if Houston has a chance to pull this game out. But I will go with the more veteran laden team in the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. So Pittsburgh wins in Houston 20-17, 20-13, something like that. Let's jump to a big game this week in the AFC where the Buffalo Bills are at home against the Miami Dolphins. This is a game I'm super interested in seeing. I don't know if it'll be on television. It probably will, but it plays at the same time that Baltimore plays, and so I'll just have to be back and forth trying to see what's happening in this game. But let's start with the Miami side of things. Miami comes in after putting up 70 points against the Denver Broncos. Now that might not be saying much because Denver has not turned into what some people expected them to be this year with Sean Payton as their new head coach. But the Miami Dolphins have been, flying high offensively all year. And the thing is, they did that uh, offensive performance last week without Jalen Waddle. So they only had one half of the dynamic duo at wide receiver and put up those kind of points. And so they're super, super dangerous offensively. But they've been playing steady defensively. The Miami Dolphins have. They've been, rushing the passer, getting some sacks, playing downhill against the run game. So Miami is really playing like a complete team. When we look at the Buffalo side of things, Buffalo definitely has a home field advantage. Their crowd is always hype. They're always loud, and so I think that could cause this Miami Dolphins offense some trouble, especially if they're not disciplined with the signaling and and being able to deal with the Buffalo stadium noise. The Buffalo offense seemed to get on track last week, putting up good points. I can't remember who they played, but they put up some good points. The Buffalo run game is still not where it has ever really been, but it's getting better. It's kind of improving, and then of course, the passing game goes through Stephon Diggs. I think that I think the Buffalo defense is good and stout. They've played good all year long. They've been limiting teams to under an average of 20 points. I'm not sure of the actual total, but I know it's under 20. And so I think that this is going to be strength against strength. But if Jalen Waddle plays this week, I don't think Buffalo has enough to outlast the Miami Dolphins. See, because Buffalo will have a crowd noise factor, but the Buffalo weather will not be on their side this week because it's not expected to be cold and snowy and things of that nature. So it'll be a fairly fast track for the Miami offense, and because Miami has been able to do what they needed to do in the run game and the passing game, the Miami offense has a total attack that they're going to bring to this game. Miami Dolphins offense is good enough, especially if Jalen Ramsey plays and he lines up against Stephon Diggs. So, with all of those things in question, I think that the Baltimore Ravens defense is going to have to carry the team. I think the cornerbacks have played fine. Interior linebackers have played very well. The defensive linemen have played well, with an exception of last game. But I think that this is going to have to be where our defense um, plays a bend but don't break style and keeps us in the game, keep forcing the Cleveland Browns to punt and things of that nature. Let me jump to the Cleveland Browns offense since I've just got through talking about the Ravens defense. I think the Cleveland Browns offense is not one that I'm afraid of at all. I think that they've been trying to find themselves as Deshaun Watson is trying to find himself. Had his best game last week, tossed the ball for 280 plus yards, and he had either two or three touchdowns and so on and so forth. And so he kind of got on track last week against the Tennessee Titans defense. But I think some of that may have been because the Tennessee Titans offense couldn't get anything going, so it kept the defense on the field. I won't say that that's the case, but I certainly believe that had a lot to do with it. But the Cleveland Brown offense is not one that I'm afraid of. And I think they're trying to find themselves in the run game, after Nick Chubb went down. I think um, offensively, they're average. And I think our defense has the potential to be a little better than what their offensive output can do. But their defense is number one in the league and top three in all major categories, which means they bring a really strong defense to the table this week, which is where my real concern is. Their defense against our offense, starting in the trenches with the offensive line versus the defensive line. You got Myles Garrett, who has 4.5 sacks already. You got Zadarius Smith, who is a great complement to Miles Garrett. You got, I think his name is Tomlinson, who plays in the middle, really good interior defensive lineman. They got linebackers who can run and hit. And then they have uh, Dilbert, who is playing like a Pro Bowler, ball hawking, coming downhill, making big hits, getting the ball out. And then you have Denzel Ward, who's playing like a top level corner. So at every level of their defense, they have really solid players. And it causes me some concern, some major, major concern when it comes to their defense versus our offense. You see, because I think our offense has some limitations because of injury, and I think our offense has some limitations because they're still trying to identify who they are. So I think that their defense is going to have some advantage over our offense. I think our defense can play even with their offense, but the question has to be how many points can we put up and how many points can we prevent? I think that the Cleveland Browns win this game 2017, 2014. Unfortunately, I have to go with Cleveland head over heart only because I've seen what we looked like last week offensively, and that was with a healthy Bateman going into that game. But now we stand without Odell and Bateman. And so that puts a little more pressure, actually, a lot more pressure on Zay. That puts more pressure on Aguilar. That puts more pressure on Duvernay. And then Tylan Wallace has already gone to IR. So that means we're probably going to have a call up, probably Laquan Treadwell, somebody like that. And so it pertains to the wide receiver group, I think we definitely going to come into this game with some limitations. I think that um, this has the potential to be a big week for Mark Andrews. I think one of the Cleveland Browns' game plan is going to be to cover Zay with Denzel Ward, and because I don't believe they believe that this Baltimore Ravens offense can beat them with the run game, and with Zay having a big game, I believe Cleveland believes our offense will be very limited. And unfortunately, I have to agree with that sentiment. And so, even though my prediction is 20 to 17, 20 to 14, something like that, Cleveland, in Cleveland, let me give you a few keys to victory for the Baltimore Ravens to pull out this win. Okay, because it's Ravens over everything. So I have to give some I have to lean into let me say it that way. I have to lean into how the Ravens can win this game. I think number one, the Ravens defense has to stop the run. You can't let this team be one dimensional because I don't think that this team can beat us just strictly with passing the ball. I don't think that they can just drop back and pass it 40 to 45 times and beat us like that. I don't believe that. So we have to make them one dimensional. Okay. We have to keep Deshaun Watson in the pocket. We've had some trouble in the past with mobile quarterbacks. And so we have to keep Deshaun Watson in the pocket defensively. And when we get there, we have to get him on the ground. It can't be one of those things that we saw last week with Garner Minshew, where we have him in our grasp, we have him boxed in. He makes a couple of maneuvers and gets out the back door and delivers a ball down the field. So when we get there, we have to finish the play. I think defensively, we have to turn the ball over at least twice. We have to get an interception, and I think we have to get a fumble recovery. We have to be able to keep the way the Ravens can win this game. We have to turn the ball over at least twice, meaning have them turn the ball over to give this Baltimore Ravens offense a short field. I think those are a few things defensively that we have to do. Stop the run, finish the play when we get to Deshaun Watson, turn the ball over at least twice. Okay. If we think about the Baltimore Ravens offense, I think that Unfortunately, the run game is going to go through Lamar Jackson again, although I hate that. I absolutely hate the fact that they're probably going to call multiple runs for Lamar Jackson. But I think with this pass rush versus our offensive line, even with Tyler Lindenbaum back, I think that there's still going to be a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson just with their front. And I think because they can get home with their front, it leaves multiple guys in coverage against our wide receivers. And so I think having a short field, if the defense can turn the ball over, giving us the short field will allow us to get into scoring position, and we must score the ball if we get inside the red zone. I think the Baltimore Ravens must put up 21 points to win this game. Two field goals, excuse me, two touchdowns, three field goals, I think wins this game for the Baltimore Ravens because I don't believe that Cleveland is just going to run up and down the field on us offensively unless we're turning the ball over offensively, unless we're not converting third downs and things like that. I think another thing we have to do, another key to victory for the Baltimore Ravens, I think that we have to speed the pace of this game up. We cannot go to that slow, trodden type of offense this week. We have to be able to hit a good play, get right back to the line. See, because the way to slow down a pass rush is to keep them on the field, cut out the rotation, and hit the gas a little bit. And we haven't seen much of that from Todd Monken. We've seen it a little bit. We've seen it a pretty good amount against the Cincinnati Bengals, but we did not see it much at all last week. So I think that with a good pass rush, we have to press the gas on them a little bit, keep those defensive linemen on the field, as great as they may be. Keep them on the field, tire them out. I think we need to go long scoring drives, 10 plus play scoring drives. Because if we don't turn the ball over, and we keep the ball in our possession, their offense can't score. That allows our defense to stay rested and energetic. I think if we can do some of those things, I think we could win this game. And the number one thing is ball security. Maintain the ball. Wide receivers, if the ball hits your hands, catch it. Lamar Jackson, the ball's in your hands, secure it. Running backs, if the ball's in your hands, secure it. No stupid penalties. We can't be jumping off sides and all those kind of things. We have to be able to eliminate our mistakes and cause them to make some mistakes. Those are just my thoughts, man. Again, my prediction is Cleveland 20-17, Cleveland 20-13, something like that. But if the Baltimore Ravens can do those things I just mentioned, they do have a chance to pull this game out. So listen, let me know what you want me to know, man. Let me know how you guys think the Baltimore Ravens can win this game, and we'll talk about it in the post game reaction. I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM. One more thing before I sign out. Stay tuned for tomorrow's edition of State of the Ravens. A lot of good content's gonna be in there, man. I'm gonna talk about why Week 4 is so pivotal, so pivotal for this season. Why it's really important that we get a win, and how if we don't get a win, it may spell some trouble for the rest of our season. So listen, again, I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and I'm out.